not going to get a second chance in the game.
Let's go. Let's go Delta.
I know a lot of people will say, you know, you don't mix man blocking and zone scheme series, but we do, and it's been really good to us. So we're going to break this in a couple parts. Obviously, we talk about our man scheme, but this will be mainly our zone scheme series, and not just our zone scheme plays, but kind of plays that come off of that. So the zone scheme series, we only run 2 different types of zone scheme. We run stretch, which is our outside zone run, and there we're really trying to run to the boundary and cut up at first daylight. And then we'll run push, which is an inside zone play with man principles. And both of these obviously stolen from other people, but both plays have built-in plays that protect them around them. So we've got protection plays around these plays so that you can't jump them. The main history on this is I'm a track person, and I believe in speed. I mean, we've been doing the speed stuff since 1998. You know, when I came out of college, that's what I believed in, was speed. And for us to be really good at the speed type stuff, to take advantage of that, the outside runs are extremely important. And we felt like that outside zone, that stretch play, was just the best way to run a sweep for us. So we kind of went there. The inside zone, though, was a different story for us. We struggled for many years because we were a gap team. We just weren't very good at the zone scheme. And then we went to what was called push a few years ago. And a friend of mine at Illinois College came down, and he talked to us about how to use man concept or man thinking in our zone game. Our zone game, the problem wasn't that we couldn't do it. It wasn't the zone steps. It wasn't any of that. It was that our kids needed to know who their man was. And we basically made it easy for, this is who your man's going to be unless somebody gets in the way. And it all just clicked for us then, and it's become one of our best plays. So the combination of these 2 plays we'll talk about here. So the push zone, like I just said, is an inside zone with man principles. The man principles made it a ton easier for us, and push is our catch-all. If we see a front we're not used to, we see an overloaded box, let's say we're in 2x2, but they've got 7 men in the box, we see 8 men sometimes, we believe push is what we're going to run no matter what. So if you see me running a bunch of push against you, you've probably got me confused a little bit, but that's kind of our catch-all to buy us time, and it's just been a great play for us. So here's a good example of push. We're in 2x2 here, and we're going to run push right. And you see one quick cut there, and the running back's up through the hole. So I'm going to show you the end zone video, because this is going to give you a little better look at it. We want this ball to go A gap. Okay, that's really what we want to happen. Does it always? No. And different fronts can dictate that. But we want it to go A gap. The way I learned this play originally was this running back he's going A gap no matter what. You know, hell or high water, he's going to blow through A gap. We don't do it that way. We'll let him kind of read it, and you'll see him. He aims a little bit outside, but he cuts back with full intention to go in A gap before the ball's ever snapped. But all of our linemen kind of step to the right, but they're stepping to the man they believe they're blocking. Okay, and we're going to leave that in man on the line of scrimmage. And I'll show you a diagram of this here in a second. So here's a good look at it. And when we run push, we're going to use what we call the push count method. Okay? So against a 4-2, we're going to number everybody. To the right of the ball, they're going to be positive numbers. To the left of the ball, they're going to be negative numbers. So our center is going to dictate who number 1 is. Well, number 1 is going to be that A-gap player. It's going to be that linebacker. That inside linebacker is number 1. So the center knows he's going to him. The tackle knows he's going to the guard knows he's going to that tackle, number 2. It's the second widest guy. And our tackle is going to block the end, who's number 3. So the play side guys are all stepping right to their guys. The backside number 1 is going to be the first guy on the other side of the center. So that tackle there that our left guard is blocking is going to be -1. -2 is going to be the guy responsible for B gap, and that's going to be the linebacker. And then we're going to read the C gap player, which is the end. We're also going to read the linebacker that's out there if our quarterback pulls it. He'll read him for the bubble. So you'll see a couple different things here. The big thing here is everybody's stepping to their man except the center. The center is going to try to get a big heavy hand and heavy push on that tackle, on that backside tackle. So he's actually going to step with his left foot, try to get a heavy hand, and then he's going to work right to number 1. And what we're trying to do there is just give a shove and let that guard overtake and let that ball go through A gap. And that's kind of how we count this against a 4-2. Now, we're going to count it different ways against different fronts, okay? But that's how we count it against a 4-2. Obviously, if the quarterback pulls it, he'll run if that linebacker doesn't engage him, or that nickel or whatever you want to call him doesn't engage him. If he does engage him, he's probably going to throw the bubble. He can peek deep. We haven't done that very often, but he can throw that bubble. Okay, so let's say now we're going to see a 3-3. Everybody hates the 3-3. We all talk like it doesn't work, but we all hate it, right? 3-3 really makes you think. So for us, the nose guard is going to be number 1 in the 3-3. He gets a higher priority number because he's on the line of scrimmage, okay? Number 2 is going to become that stack linebacker because we're going to say that he's responsible for the B gap. And the end, because he's already lined up on a man, he'll become number 3. So on the right, you've got the center blocking the nose, you've got the guard blocking the stack backer, and the tackle blocking the end. So on the backside, the Mike will be -1, okay? He'll be -1. Now, because of that, our left guard's going to have him. Now, our left guard still may get a piece of that nose tackle, okay? He still may get his hand on him on his way working to linebacker. It also may work that that linebacker blows that A gap on the right side. If that happens, they may slide off and the center will pick him up. He won't go get him, but he may pick him up if he comes, and then that tackle, or that guard, I'm sorry, will wash that nose tackle down. Our backside tackle, he's going to step real hard to his B gap, and he's going to assume he's blocking that linebacker. But if the end comes, he's going to block him as well, okay? And what the running back's going to do on this is the running back's going to take the ball, and he's going to immediately look for that Mike linebacker. And he's going to go opposite that Mike linebacker to the first gap he can find. So if that linebacker blows right, then we think that our center is going to come off, and he's going to pick him up, and then we're going to look for a cutback, okay? Now, if that linebacker automatically comes left and our left guard picks him up, he's going to do what he always does, and he's going to try to hit that A gap to the right. We don't bounce outside a lot with this, mainly because there's just nothing there, okay? And I let our backs run where they want to run. I wasn't a running back. I sure as heck wasn't a good running back, and we've got some of those, so we let them kind of use their instincts. So he's going to kind of go whichever way he wants to go, but usually it's an A gap to A gap play. Plays off this, okay? So the other play we're going to use is a play called push wham, and wham is going to be our designed cutback. So we know everybody's pursuing hard to the play side, and they're kind of following they're doing their job, and they're taking that cutback away. What we're going to do is we're going to bring the H back real hard across the backside, and he is going to kick that 5 technique out. What I like best about this is nothing ever changes for the O-line. We've got so many plays off this, and nothing really changes. So H back's on the right, let's say. Everybody runs push right. Everybody's taking their steps. They're blocking on their man. And then the H-back's going to come across, and he's going to kick that contained player on the left side, and our running back's going to cut back off him. Now, our running back still has the right to not do that, but he can cut back off it. So here he's going to have the option to cut back to the right. There you see our H-back. He has a good block, but he gets too high on it, and our running back bounces outside on it, so it's not perfect. But if you watch the end zone here, you'll have a little bit of a look here. Everybody's stepping left to block their man. Good seals. And the H-back comes back across and hits a big block there. Running back goes in the end zone. Now, people say, would you like for him to run inside? If you saw there, as you watch this, you can see that there's a gap inside. Should our running back have went there? Probably. But I'm not a big one for criticizing our guys if it ends in a touchdown. So we talked a little bit about it, but we don't talk too much about it because this kid's got good instincts, and he knew if he got outside, he could beat everybody, and he did. So he bounces it outside for the big play there. So let's push wham. Like I said with wham, there's no more teaching to it except for the H-back, and you tell the running back, here's your option. Do you have to take it? No. Our running back could have buried himself in the left A gap here. I wouldn't have said a word, so it's kind of his choice, but we know that's a built-in option for him. Now, teams will start spying your H-back when you do stuff like this, so that you've got to have some stuff off of it. So here's a good look at push wham. So if we numbered them, 1 obviously is that left linebacker, 2 is the left tackle, 3 is the left end, -1 is going to be the left guard, center's still giving a heavy hand, and the linebacker is going to be -2. -3 is the end, who we usually leave, but in this case, the H is going to kick him. So there's kind of the design of it. Been a great play for us over the years. Probably a better play for us is a play called push leak. Push leak is a pass play off this. It's designed to look exactly like Wham. What I like about push leak is it is a very easy completion for your quarterback. Anytime we have a new quarterback or a nervous quarterback or we've had an injury and I've got our backup quarterback in, this is one of the first plays we go to because it's such an easy play. It gives your quarterback the option to run it, or it gives them a chance to dump it to one of two guys. So the O-line is still going to do the same thing. They're still going to run push, so no new learning for those guys. You know, our linemen know 3 or 4 things. Our linemen actually know 5 or 6 things, and that's it. That includes passes, screens, and runs. And we don't want them learning anymore. We want them to be effective at those things. So on the backside, if you're running Wham, okay, so if we're whamming to the right, our H-back's on the left and he's coming right, the number 1 receiver is going to run a go, and he's going to pull that corner with him most times. Wide receiver number 2 is going to run a 12-yard out. One of 2 things is going to happen. Either he's going to be wide open, or he's going to pull that number 2 defender with him. The H-back is going to fake the Wham, and we're going to tell him, as you come across on that Wham, get a good chip on that inside shoulder. Throw a block. We still want to block him, but not our best block. When you tell your kids not to throw their best block, you'll see how bad those blocks become, but that's what we tell them. And he'll fake it, and he'll kind of slip out. We reverse our quarterback out, and I know a lot of teams probably don't do this. A lot of teams probably just ride that running back and then pull back off and throw it. We actually turn our back. And the reason we do that is we used to do it the other way, but our quarterback's got in too big a hurry to look to throw that ball. And it also showed the ball to the defense. So it rushed things. As we reversed them out, we just told them, when you whip that head around, you better be ready to dump it right away if the guy's in your face. If he's not, you've got the option to read, number 2 to the H-back to the run. So we've got a couple things they can do here. But reversing out has been better for us, as I said, and we've tried it both ways. But a lot of self-inflicted wounds when we didn't reverse out. So here's a good look at it. This play is going to go to the right. You're going to get the go by number 1 and an out by number 2, and you're going to see the H-back come across and see how wide open he is here. Line still runs push. There he is, and he's wide open. Let you see that again. But obviously, we're getting cover 0 here in this game. And when you get cover 0, it's a really tough matchup for that linebacker to run all the way across with your H-back and try to cover him. It's really dangerous for the free safety. If the free safety were to come down, we'd probably tag it with a post by number 2 and let him walk in there. But there's no one near him on this play. So that's the big thing, is getting that H-back in space. When he starts getting in space, pretty soon you'll run that and they'll jump him and your number 2 guy will be open and you'll get all sorts of things going. So a look from the end zone here, you'll see our linemen. They're all going to step. We don't even tell our linemen that it's a pass. They have no idea. So you see them, they're run blocking, and it's just wide open. And that's going to sell it to those D-backs as well, especially if they're not in 0. So let you see that again here. So let's see what our H-back does. I tell him not to throw his best block. Yep, and he comes way upfield so he doesn't get a little chip on him. But if he gets a little chip on him, if he sits, it's an even better play. So there's push leak that kind of comes off our push Wham, which all starts with push. So here's a good diagram of it, and he's got a couple options there. Could he throw the deep ball? He could. They just don't give it to us very often, and I always tell him, take the wide open guy on leak. So does the quarterback, somebody asked me the other day, does the quarterback have the option to hand it to the running back here? He doesn't in our system. I'm sure there are systems where he does, and it could very easily be an RPO or whatever, but that's not what we've done with it. Okay, push Q counter. A little bit different for us. The O-line still blocks push left in this situation. Our left tackle will pull and trap the 5. Now, sometimes we do it with the tackle, sometimes we do it with the H. Okay? Now, much like all our stuff, the tackle and the H are pretty interchangeable. The running back fakes push and then fills for the offensive tackle. So if we're pulling our tackle, the running back's going to fill real hard on that 5 technique so that he doesn't chase it down, and the quarterback's just going to run right through there off that zone scheme. So the quarterback rides the running back real hard, and then he's coming straight downhill on that counter. again, same thing. Our linemen don't know anything different except for our left tackle. And sometimes, if we use the H, they're all still running push. And if that's the case, we don't even tell them. We don't even tell them it's anything different. So here's one we'll run here, but I think we pulled the H on this one. Playoff game a few years ago. And there the quarterback goes, right downhill. Everybody else is pushing left. Everybody else is running push left. They're counting. They're saying their numbers. When we run push, they'll actually count out. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. We'll say it. And we don't worry about it because we run so many plays off it that they'll count them out on those things too. But here it is. If those guys are stepping towards you to block you, you've got to honor that, and that really opens up stuff backside here. So here's an end zone look at it. This is a really good spot of it here. But everybody runs push and steps to it. That H-back comes across and gets a great block for us. And there he goes in the end zone. So I'll let you see that one more time. They're following the rules. They're counting their numbers. And it opens it up for us here. So if you just take a look right here, pretty even the way they've set things up. Obviously our guys are counting 1, 2, and 3. -1, -2. We know who they are. -1 obviously is this nose guard on the left of your screen, and -2 is that linebacker. Well, we're going to block -3 now with that Wham block here. So really the same play as Wham, except the quarterback's running it. But take a look at how far these guys move themselves out of the picture on their own without even being blocked. So we're just able to influence them with the running back, and the whole screen slides the other direction, and it opens up a big hole there. Okay, so there's a good look at it. There's push Q counter. I didn't draw it with the H because it's the same play I drew before. So this shows it with the tackle, which we ran it this way as well. Great play. There's no read. There's no option to throw on this for us. It's just a straight quarterback's going to run it, and we're going to run him like a fullback, right through the gap. So, but it's been a really great play for us over the years. Okay, push lock backer. So for us, this has been really good lately. We had a quarterback get hurt this year, couldn't run. Our whole offense was really built around him running. So we had to build in an RPO that didn't change much of our stuff because it happened mid-year, and you don't want to throw out everything you've worked on. So for our O-line, everybody's going to run push left. When they hear lock, though, the right tackle, the backside tackle, is going to lock on that 5 technique. So what we tell our guys is, when you hear lock, the C-gap player becomes -2. We're skipping the linebacker, and he becomes -2. So our tackle will block -2 there, and the backer will become -3, and we leave him. So the O-line is going to push left really hard, except for the right tackle. He's going to block to the right. The running back is going to run push left, and the quarterback is going to read that backside inside linebacker. So if that guy who's now -2, if he comes flying up on the run, the quarterback's going to pull it, and he's going to throw that slant behind him like everybody does. If he drops, we're going to hand it to him, and our running back knows that backside B gap is going to be open, but he can run anywhere. So, but that's push lock backer. What I like about it is I know people have drawn up these RPOs, and there's all these different things you can do. We didn't want to drop anything new. We wanted to keep doing the same stuff we were doing, and this was a way that everybody's job stayed the same except for 1 or 2, and the quarterback's got to think a little bit, and that's why he's on the team. He's the thinker. We expect him to know a lot. But we want everybody else just to do their job, get good at 5 or 6 things, and that's kind of what we've done. So there it is. You see that backer come up, and there's a nice, easy throw. That's a good shot of it. We tell our receiver too, he's going to throttle us down a little bit if it's zone. So we know it's zone. He can kind of jog in there, making a nice, easy throw for the quarterback. If it were man, he knows he's got to bust his hump, and he's got to get a couple steps on this guy. But since he knows it's zone, he can make it a nice, easy throw. So that's become a really good play for us. And like I said, simplicity, that's the most important thing. Let's keep this thing simple. So here it is. You see that tackle locking on there because he's made him -2. -3 becomes that backer. Backer flies up in there. He's on a blitz, which makes it real easy for the quarterback, and we dump it right over the middle to him. So that's obviously out of trips. We do it out of doubles. You can do it out of whatever you want. You know, I think you could do it with the old tight end dump under center. I think you could do it depending on what your scheme is. So I think it's a really just a good solid play for us. And like I said, we went to it. I fought this RPO craze. I fought it for a while. But it does, when your quarterback can't run, you've either got to be an excellent passer or you've got to be able to do some other stuff with it. And this was kind of our answer without abandoning what we did. So here's a good look at it here. Nothing changes. Center's still pushing back. You know, people ask me all the time, does the center still step back and give that hard shove? Yeah. Even though the running back knows he may bend it back where that backer has dropped, because obviously if he gets the ball, he knows the backer's dropped. He still has the option to go A-gap. So take the easiest path every time. Continue to do your job and take the easiest path. So that's our lock play. Okay. So those are all our plays off push. So all those are blocked the same. Very easy for us, very easy adjustments. Our linemen on all those plays, they don't know anything except push. They're being told it's push left or push right, and the skill guys are hearing all sorts of other stuff because we don't want the big boys thinking. We want the big boys knocking heads. Stretch is a different play. We like it when we see line stunts and people blitzing. We ran into a game against a big conference rival of ours a couple years ago. It was muddy, it was wet. They put 7 guys in the box. We were not effective throwing the ball, and they were just jamming things up inside. They were stunting, 2 linemen. One was stunting to A, one was stunting to C, and they were bringing a backer in the middle. They were doing all sorts of combinations of that, and it gave us lots of problems in the first half. In the second half, we went to stretch, and stretch either gave us big plays or set up other stuff. So this year we played an opponent at the end of the year, and they loaded the box with 7 guys, and we knew if there were going to be that many guys in the box, it was needless for us to run it inside there. They were bigger than us, they were stronger than us, but we knew our advantage was our speed. So if people want to stunt and pack the box, we believe we can pin them in the box. So that's our whole idea is if they want to all congregate in one area, let's build a fence around them and get outside. So we basically talked to our players about, especially our tackle, our lead tackle, whichever one's doing the leading on this. We talk about pinning them in the box and building the fence. So he's going to be that post that builds the fence. Every O-lineman reaches a man and pins their outside shoulder. The furthest outside O-lineman, it could be the offensive tackle or it could be the tight end, is going to pin the second level lineman in the box. So you'll see on here if it's our tackle or our tight end, but they're going to step, and our guys are just going to step sideways. So if we're running stretch right, they're going to actually open up and stretch, and they're going to reach with that left hand and try to get it on the outside shoulder of that next line of their lineman, and they're going to hold them as the next guy reaches for him. Our basic rule is this: nobody crosses your face. So as we all turn, you got to get your chest to the next guy's back and on your guy so that nobody crosses there. If they cross behind you, that's the lineman behind you's fault, but it can't happen to you. And then that lead guy is going to kind of turn. He's going to plant that foot in the ground and pivot, and he's going to pick up that backer as he flows outside. And then we've built the fence. If you absolutely cannot pin your man, you take him to the sidelines. But we want to pin our man. But I've seen this work well for us. We've taken him to the sideline, and the back, he's just got to be a back. I tell him, hey, that's why you're the running back. You got to be special, and you got to be able to know when it's time to cut it up. And it's something we don't practice a whole bunch, but they figure out how to do it because that's why they're back there. They've got instincts. If they can't do it, in my opinion is I got the wrong guy back there. So our running back is going to take the ball to the sideline. If you know you can't get there, you get 1 cut. That's what I tell them. You get 1 cut to get upfield. You may take a loss on it. It happens. But you get 1 cut. You've got to either decide you can beat them all or you can get 1 cut and you get up the field. We don't tell them how to run this. They'll figure out what their limitations are as they play back there through practice and games. Our quarterback, we don't read anything on this, but we're going to next year. So we haven't done it yet. We're still figuring that out this year, what we're going to read off of it. Our biggest counter off this, as I talked about on a different segment, is GT opposite. And these kind of go together. And that gets discussed in our gap series, but it is, in my opinion, the perfect complement to the stretch play. I think if you run one, at least for us, if we run one, we got to run the other. Okay, so here's a good look at a stretch play here. So this is against a conference opponent, and this is going to be a stretch kind of coming at us here on the screen. And you're going to watch our left tackle really good pin. Not only is he going to pin his guy, but he's going to pass him off, and he's going to get the linebacker. If you look at the sticks over there, it's 4th down, 4th and about 8. We still think this is our go-to play. Receivers are going to get good blocks, and you'll see what happens here. Tackle probably turns a little bit too much there when he's pinning that guy. I would have liked to have seen him just really punch hard with that right hand and turn. He really gets 2 hands on him. And you get your tackles will get a feel for this. That inside linebacker, if he's really tight in his alignment to the A gap and he's stepping up a little bit, you can do that. You can punch a little harder with 2 hands, which definitely makes it harder for the next guy. But I still would prefer he just do it and take care of his own job instead of taking care of somebody else's. But that kid that's tackle there is a pretty good player for us. So, and you see everybody gets their guy stretched. The lineman that has the most trouble and the hardest time on this would obviously be your center because he's snapping the ball and then moving. But we try to play a pretty good kid there that's able to do it. So here it is again with the stretch. Running back sees he can beat it. And he's running to the boundary, getting up the sideline for a nice pickup. So we'll see it from the end zone here. Like I said, the left tackle here is going to be the key block that's important. And he kind of waits there. He kind of hesitates on it, which is okay, but not ideal. So he takes the 5, passes him to the guard. Guard gets him picked up. He picks up the backer. And if you do that, if you get that backer and that 5 technique picked up, as long as you don't let somebody blow across your face, which our center doesn't, he doesn't have anybody, so he pins. He probably should have stepped there a little bit better, but he knew there was nobody coming A gap. We feel like if we can pin C, the C gap player, and the linebacker, the second level guy, it's going to go because we just don't feel like a guy can, as long as we don't let somebody just run straight through A and hit him in the backfield, he's not going to be able to chase that down. So you see the backside backer kind of takes himself out of the play, and now we're concerned with those second level guys. And our receivers do a nice job blocking there. Their safety makes a good play and comes up and probably saves it from being something really big. But like I said, the tackle steps, I would have rather had him punch there. So here's a good diagram stretch. Everybody's trying to get one guy wider than they are. Okay? So what you just saw on video obviously was an odd front. And if that backer flows and that center sees that backer flow, he can stand help a little bit longer on the nose guard like he did. But if it's a 4-man front, he's got to get to that 3 technique. So I feel like this is an easier play against an odd front because of that fact. You know, the center, you know, if that backer blows that gap in a 3-4 or whatever, center can really help on that nose until the backer comes and pick him up. And then as long as you get that 5 technique, the play's gone. But you know, against a 4, it's obviously worked for us. So we've ran it a bunch against a 4 technique, but you got to feel a little more penetration. It puts a little more heat on your center. Okay, stretch screen. This is probably our best big play. People we play probably know it's coming, but it's continued to work for us. You can run it out 3x1 or 2x2, and this is one of those plays that we really hang our hat on that we like. Everybody runs stretch except for the quarterback, the backside tackle, and the backside wide receiver number 1. So I think the video I'm going to show you is going to be out of trips. So obviously we're running the stretch to the trips, and we're leaving the singled up guy. The wide receiver, number 1 on the backside, so the soloed up guy, is going to drive 3 yards off the ball, and then we tell him to retrace his steps. So he's going to take 1, 2, 3 steps. He's going to plant, and he's going to come back 1, 2, 3, and then he's going to start running. I tell him run right to the quarterback. So you want to be a yard behind the line of scrimmage, running right at the quarterback. The quarterback is going to throw the ball right to him. I mean, he's going to run it to him as he's coming at him. So the offensive tackle, the key to this play, and I can show you bad plays and good plays of this, and it's almost always dependent on the tackle. The offensive tackle takes his stretch step, then peels behind the 5 technique, flat toward the cornerback looking to kick him out. You don't even have to block the cornerback. You just have to get in the way. And as long as you're running out there and you get in the way, you're pretty much home for, you're going to get a gain. When this play gets screwed up, it's because the tackle, so if I'm the left tackle and we're going to screen it back this way, if he immediately goes this way, the defensive lineman over him or the linebacker is going to run with him because he's going to consider it a fast screen of some sort where he's getting out there. And he's going to run with him and he's going to get in the mess. The key to it is to step like you're stretching, step completely flat for a step, then bend up and run back behind him. And once you run back behind him, there's not much he can do. He's got to honor stretch, and we're giving stretch action there. So as our quarterback rides the stretch, he's going to turn, he's going to fire that ball back to the wide receiver, and it becomes a really great play for us. So this will give you a good look at it here. So the screen's going to come back this way. You'll see the corner's got press coverage on him, which a lot of people don't like to throw their screens off that. But for us, it ends up being a great play, and it's, the guy barely touches him. He almost goes untouched for a touchdown here. Watch our left tackle, though. Our left tackle does a great job of taking the correct steps here. And the 5 technique has no idea what's going on. Neither does the backside backer. Left tackle, does he get a block? No. But this is a 2-man play. And I tell our left tackle, you don't have to block anybody. I tell our receiver, it's like chasing your sister around the table. That big tackle, he's the table. You just got to make him make his decision. And it really puts the cornerback in a bad position. But look at those linebackers and 5 techniques. No idea what's going on. He catches it. 43 does a good job of hustling over there and trying to make the tackle, but there's really nothing he can do because he's too far out of position. So it's a play we really like. If they want to single up your X receiver, your guy over here, it's an easy play to take advantage of, I think. So, but I said the tackle's the key to it. The other linemen, we don't tell them. They think we're running stretch, so they don't know. So they're all going to step like it's stretch, and that makes them pretty good actors for us. And then we'll throw it back. Here it is from the end zone shot. Look at the other linemen. I mean, they're running stretch. They're trying to get out there. And it's a nice, easy play. But stretch makes it real hard. It makes the stretch play forces these guys on the backside to be undisciplined and race in there, which any aggressive football player is going to do. This is a great team we're playing against, well coached, and they do the right stuff. But you run stretch enough times on them, they're going to try to get out there on it, and then it's easy money coming back at them. So there's a good look at the stretch screen. And the big thing is it's hard to draw and make it look that way. You want him to weave back behind. So, and that ball's going right there every time. Like I said, we like it better when the guy's playing off, but if he's running press like that, we're still going to run it. And sometimes it's better against press, which we ran right there. So, all right. Well, thanks for listening. Like I said, if you watch the gap scheme series, it marries up to the zone scheme series, and the two of them really tie together and complement each other. And really, like I said, that's about all we do at Farmington. We do a lot of really simple things, and our linemen know about 6 things, And as long as they know those 6, we feel pretty good that we can manipulate the other players on the field and do the things we want to do. So thanks for listening. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me.